Hello and welcome. My name is Esther. So these are just general messages just to remind you of your heart and how valuable you are, to shine your light and really to come back home to yourself in a deeper way, to embrace all the colors of your imagination, your gifts, and to embrace inner authority, inner respect, and inner kindness. Self-love era. So let's see what comes through here from the fairies. So first and foremost, you got healing herbs. Nature provides, use its gifts for healing. So there may be an element of needing to maybe spend more time outside or quiet or introspective. Also got key fortune. Find abundance in unexpected places. Keep your eyes open to wonder. So with the moon there as well, with the moon cycles, we've also got the winter solstice coming in. So that's a very magical time, and it is a very introspective time right now. In the southern hemisphere, of course, there's sunlight and bright days, but in the northern hemisphere, it's more winter. So regardless of where you are, it is still an inner process time of year. You also got force, embrace, connect with nature, let the woods soothe your spirit. Yes, so maybe a time to just go for a hike or a walk or something outside that can just kind of allow you a little bit of stillness and quiet within your body, within your being, so that you can kind of hear what it is that your body needs. So you may be finding, like, especially with the energy coming up with healing herbs, so really understanding that Mother Nature is not only our greatest teacher, but our greatest healer. So we have been immensely blessed as humanity, ultimately, because the earth provides everything we could possibly need. And so we are also learning as humanity to kind of come more home to nature, to animals, to harmonizing and synchronizing not only with whom we are, but also the appreciation for the natural world. And so you also, with the key fortune, it's really about the simple moments. And my sister even said to me earlier about the present moment, and where it's like holding gratitude for the little things. And I think that that's very true, very wise. So really finding your key fortune in those little things, in the little moments. You got frigid realm, icy wilderness, arctic wonders, polar express. So yeah, definitely feeling the winter energy. So more of the northern hemisphere for this reading. Definitely about kind of allowing yourself to get comfortable with being present with yourself, being silent with yourself. Something that I like to do in the mornings is a silent meditation, and I find that that is not only incredibly telling, but very healing for the body and the being, to observe more the mind rather than allowing it to run wild, right? And really observing the self, like, what are the stories within me and why? You know, how am I coloring my reality, and is it really actually assisting me or hindering me? And that's where you can observe the mind. And it does take that quiet, it does take the nature elements, it does take the healing and embracing stillness, embracing what's around you. Because without that, we become too distracted that we can't even hear what the being needs. You also got beach, relaxation, sun, and leisure. So you may be traveling. I mean, something that I do feel is one of the greatest teachers is travel, right? Because through travel, you obtain a perspective that pulls you out of whatever element you've been kind of running in. Right? It gives you a broader view. And it also allows you to understand the expansiveness of the mind, of the self-observation. So it can be quite a win-win element, because when you pull yourself out of what's known or comfortable, it allows you to really face the self and work with the self. And therefore, you're able to see what needs to shift or change that much easier. So with beach and the sun, it's really about, also with this icy cold realm of the Polar Express, it's really this duality even with the light and the dark, right? We've got hot and cold cards. So there's an element of you that needs to be embraced in its duality, right? And inner self-love and self-acceptance means accepting the self wholeheartedly through all your seasons, all your phases. When you're struggling to hold kindness and appreciation through that, when you're thriving to celebrate and hold gratitude for all the wins, it's about understanding that regardless of whether something is perceived or colored as easy or challenging or negative or positive, it's irrelevant. It's just a color spectrum like the grandiose rainbow through the human journey, through this life's journey. And ultimately, I feel like this collective is really coming back home to themselves. And it has felt like a lot of ego deaths and transformation this year. Naturally, 2025 has colored exactly that. But it doesn't mean it's easy, and it doesn't mean it's comfortable. And it does mean that there's a next level of trust in self, but also self-exploration that is necessary to move through. And to also judge the self less so that you can judge all that outside of you less, and to come back into wholeness of self so that you can be a wholeness for everyone around you. It is very much a vibrational game at this point. And I feel like, yeah, I mean, you probably understand that if you're watching this video. It's very much a vibrational game. And gratitude is necessary. You got laboratory, research, experiments and analysis, innovation and invention. Wow. So you are birthing a lot of newness, a lot of creative ideas, a lot of important elements that I feel that those around you are going to need. And perhaps you're stepping into more of a leadership role for yourself and reinventing the self, but also where you're stepping into more of a leadership for all those around you as well. Because with laboratory, with this hot and cold energy, with all the earth energy from the fairies, and then now this innovation, it feels like the collective I'm speaking to is now finding, kind of like as Buddha says, like finding the middle path, the balance, right? Not too luciferic, where we become too delusioned with all light and bright and all of that, but also not losing sight of what matters by becoming harmonic, too heavy or dense or ego or selfish. And it's about the middle path. It's about understanding that center point within the self and the self-acceptance through all the colors of you, you know, and not berating the self or being unkind to the self over perceived mistakes or misfortunes or to another, right? Because ultimately it's like samadhi. It's about the understanding of Buddha's teachings or Christ's teachings, or not to put any religion in it, but it's ultimately to acknowledge the ascended masters, to acknowledge all those beautiful souls and spirits and wise teachers that now hold the markers for the collective as essentially light posts of understanding, to say, you know, you're not alone in this process of transformation, but you also need to know that there's nothing to fear, right? That's ultimately illusion. And the elements that limit us are ultimately a you with you game. So understanding the self is the greatest gift, because not only does it allow you to alchemize things for forward movement for the better, but it also allows you to understand the entire external world for the better. And as you shift and grow and change and evolve, you allow all that around you to be colored in that magic as well, because it's a energy frequency shift, and it's an honor of self and sovereignty, holding your equanimity, being the eye of the storm, right? Regardless of what swirls around you, which is vital. And humanity's really feeling that. A lot of gifted souls and lightworks are really feeling that. And so it's challenging everyone and everything in different forms, different levels, and it's colored uniquely to what your soul expression wanted to learn or overcome in this lifetime. So as well as what your soul destiny was meant to be here to gift out to the earth, right? Nothing is greater than the other. Ultimately, we are all one and the same, and ultimately your relationship with self is vital. So it's both an individual game and a collective game in tandem right now. So the more that you pour into your own cup, I commend you, and I thank you, because self-care is, first and foremost, self-care is not selfish, but secondary, it's the internal love, the internal gratitude, the internal grace, and the willingness to continue forth even when you're afraid is amazing. And that is the greatest gift that you give to those around you. That is the greatest gift you give to your soul, your spirit. And it's needed. It's needed now more than ever, because you're that change maker. You're that way shower, right? So let's just quickly pull the tarot and see any further advice. Thank you, Spirit. Yeah. Two of Swords and Seven of Swords. So yeah, you may feel like you're still kind of stuck, stagnant, like you're having to fight your way. Spirit's definitely trying to say to you, collective, this is really about honoring the inner grace, utilizing Mother Earth, right? Healing herbs, natural medicine, coming back home to the roots. Simplicity. Simplicity is key, right? I used to always say KISS, K-I-S-S, and it means keep it simple, silly. We'll put it nicely at the end there. But keep it simple, right? Less is more. It's about quality over quantity ultimately. And it's also about the inner grace of wherever you are. Whatever the chapter is, whatever the chapter brings, ultimately doesn't matter. What matters most is your opinion of you, right? So really holding that true north and the inner sovereignty. Let it come forth. Give yourself permission to feel it. Yeah. So overall Oracle is ultimately about standing your ground, feeling grounded, right? But allowing more to pour into you that is authentic and true of nature, so that you can overpour in all that you do and all that surrounds you with authenticity and abundance, right? An overpour of having more than enough, right? When you're whole, you're able to gift and show up whole. When you're not whole, then that's where the lack sets in. So it's ultimately about the overpouring from wholeness, from authenticity. Excuse me. Excuse me. Yeah. Very much release needed. And healing, right? Yeah. We'll kind of leave it there, but much love and light to you, and thank you, because you're ultimately kind of embracing your heart. You're choosing kind, choose kind. And you're just allowing things to come in, and hold that gratitude. Hold gratitude for every moment, the small things, the little things, and appreciation for every step that you take that is of the highest good of you and the authenticity of you. So remembering to also gift yourself gratitude and recognition, because it takes immense bravery, and it's not about speed, but your willingness to continue forth, to still take each step, even in the thickest of uncertainty or darkness or not knowing. When it comes from the heart, then it will always succeed. It will always be the right choice. And so your authenticity is key, and it's needed, and it's appreciated. And I appreciate you. So thank you for your willingness to shine your light, your willingness to accept all elements of the self, the light and the dark, finding the middle path that's Buddha guided, and really honoring the movement of the body and the nurture and the healing of the body, remembering that Mother Earth is the greatest healer and teacher. You know, and you are now discerning what is right for you, what is correct for you. And that's ultimately the key. So, yeah, thank you. Cheers.